All set?
Yep, all set.
Okay, the meeting will now come to order. We will begin with introductions and seating of alternates, and we'll begin introductions with our town staff.
Henry Colangelo, CEO.
Dan Beret, Town Planner.
Okay, for commission members, we'll begin introductions starting on my far left.
Tom Bransfield.
Joe Spada.
Bob Ellsworth,
Jen Talone.
Robert Taylor.
okay, thank you. May I have a motion to accept the agenda as, oh, I'm sorry, we need to seat alternates. Sorry, so Tom, you were seated for our prior meeting, which is a continuation, so I would ask that you remain seated for tonight's meeting.
Okay.
And Joe, if you would please be seated for Victoria for tonight's meeting.
Will do.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented? Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the agenda is accepted as presented. Okay. Jen can't second. Someone else second that, please. Chantel seconded that. Okay, so the agenda is accepted as presented. Meeting procedures. Let's see, so we will have our 5-minute rule in place for tonight, so any member of the public who would like to speak. You will have a 5-minute time limit, that's so that we can get everyone's opinion on this, and if you wish to speak after your 5-minute limit is up. You may do so after everyone else who is indicated that they want to speak has done so. So we do have a sign-up sheet for any member of the public who would like to speak. So you can either sign up now or as the meeting progresses, if you do wish to speak, we ask that you sign up here. And I'm pointing over here to the music stand. Dan will be calling speakers from that list. Any questions, comments? Okay. So we'll move on then to our public hearing. And this is for application 25-05, 69 Marlborough Street. Request for special permit modification, application and property of BRT DeMarco PTP LLC. Map 19, lot 68, zone B-2, B-3, and TCDD. Town Center Building. So as I mentioned, this public hearing remains open from our prior meeting. I can give a brief overview of what took place at the first meeting. The applicant and his team did a presentation for the request for the special permit modification. The outstanding item was the town engineer's memo, and that was the reason for continuing the meeting. So the town engineer has been working with the applicant's engineer, and they have resolved all outstanding issues and concerns that the town engineer did have. So based on that, I don't know if the applicant would like to give a brief overview of the special permit request, or we do have some new members in the audience here today. So however you'd like to present, please go ahead.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Steve Sullivan, professional engineer registered in the state of Connecticut. As you mentioned, we did have some back and forth with the town engineer. We did receive a memo the other day, essentially stating that we had satisfied his comments. Just a couple minor changes regarding the parking calculation for daycare. He found a study by one of the, I think it was the Northwest Council of Elected Government Officials. And that change was 1 space for every eight children. I was using 1 space for every 10. So we added 5 more parking spaces for a required number of parking. But we are also able to eliminate some of the loading space for these 2 buildings because they're less than 20,000 square feet. So we actually gained 5 more parking spaces. So with that, the parking waiver proposed at the last meeting was 13.96%. Now we're down to 13.90%. So a slight reduction in that waiver. And then the only other requirement or request was from the fire marshal. He asked that we add a hydrant just south of building B2. I apologize, I don't have my light tonight, but it's kind of that middle island, just south of B2 where we added another hydrant. And he was fine with that location. And that's all the changes since the last meeting.
Hi, for the record, I'm Maura Newell Wan from 72 Architects. And I do have the architectural presentation up there, but I don't even know if it's really worth thumbing through. I had some height inconsistencies on the last application and I've straightened it out. It's effectively a typo, and the two-dimensional CAD drawing that you have tonight now matches all the renderings and the 3D images that I presented last time. The CAD drawing was out of whack. All the rest of the images stay the same. Thanks.
Good evening, everybody. So the last thing that we were tracking was the sassafras. Oh,
Just,
sorry.
I think everybody knows you, but just your name for the
Oh,
record.
Dan Bertram, yeah. So the last thing that we had on our list was the arborist letter regarding the sassafras tree. And in doing an analysis of that tree, we both came to the conclusion that the brittleness of the branches and the way that the root system sprawls out is very disruptive for sidewalks and stuff. So there is a rundown from the arborist about that tree being, I think, best to go away. But then the pivot was to a red maple for the replacement tree. And we think that'll be both attractive and then won't, heave the sidewalks and things like that, or challenge the foundations with the root system, the way it grows. So we think that'll be an attractive substitute. We're proposing between a 4 and 5 inch caliper tree that'll be about 20 feet tall on planting. But that was our list of items.
Would that be in the same location as sassafras tree being removed?
No. So Steve, have you got that on there?
I don't have it on this plan, but we'll move it a little further south away from the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So it'll kind of, it'll complement as you come around the corner, the corner stage that sticks forward. So you see where it's because those are now connected between B2 and Sage. And so it'll be away from, in from the road, Steve said.
Anything else you'd like to?
No, I think those were our loose ends. And so we're certainly here to address any questions the public may have or the commission.
Okay,
Thank
so we'll begin with questions from the commission members.
Dan, just so I'm clear, I just heard what you just said, you're gonna replace the sassafras with a red maple?
Yeah, so the sassafras tree will be removed from where.
So will that change be reflected, because the drawing shows I believe the drawing shows those new sassafras.
Right, so we supplemented, but it's not on the plan, I guess, but it is, it was submitted to Dan, a specification for the red maple. So we would just ask, and we can certainly follow that up and put it on the official plan.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's part of the record. And so if you want to make a condition of approval or something, we're happy to oblige you in any way we can.
I guess I just had one clarification. I know they asked for what caliper
Yeah.
tree you put in. I can't remember if that was in the memo or not.
Yeah, it was, the proposed tree is between 4 and 5 inch caliper.
Okay.
And then from the tree supplier, they said that would be about a 20-foot tree upon planting at that thickness of trunk.
And Steve, could you just, when you submit the plans, just update that on the landscaping plan? Okay.
I guess size and location, right?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah, and the look.
No.
Oh, not on the landscaping? Oh, I see. Okay, all right, we will certainly follow that. Yes.
Any further questions from commission members?
I just want to be clear on one thing. We're taking the sassafras tree out and we're replacing it with a maple, a red maple.
Yeah, the red maple inboard, basically where it is, the original plan had the sidewalk going closer to Marlboro. And then it leans out over the road. And so you have both the brittle branches and all that kind of thing, which is, I don't know, everybody just feels a little sort of hazard. So the sidewalk will now go straight in line with the Marlboro, so it stays the same distance off of it. And that's, I think, better pedestrian experience because you're not walking out closer to the road, the cars zooming by. And then from the standpoint of the tree will just come in quite a bit off of Marlboro, so it has room to kind of grow and have separation from the two buildings, really, the B2 and Sage House.
I kind of believe that if we're taking the tree out, we should replace it with the same type, historic.
That we,
To what's going on there.
right, did you read the arborist letter?
Yeah, I did.
So our thinking on that was just one that would not have a problematic root system, but was still in the same location. Relative location, it'll come in from the road, but not so much that you have to keep it from heaving the sidewalks. It was the arborist recommendation not to replant the sassafras. Was the reason we pivoted, because our original thought was the same as what you're getting at. I think it's refined though.
I understood maple is a more hardened tree.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of the discussion and the back and forth was just what will be most attractive if you're not doing the same tree. And then that was a broader discussion and we settled on the red maple.
I have just a question for Dan more than this, Dan. I know the fire marshal had submitted his review.
Yep.
Does that include the fire department? I mean, we're adding a whole floor of rooms. They're gonna have to deal with the additional issues that causes.
Yeah, I do believe I submitted something to Fire Chief Huida. I didn't get a response back.
But they are aware of the plans.
Yes. I talked to him about this, yes, before.
So the concern would be that Portland has the equipment to address a 5-story building. Right, that would be the question, I believe.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not unlike the other two buildings, but we did add a floor. And
I did not get anything back.
I know they commented originally.
Yeah, I didn't get anything back that indicated I didn't get anything back. That's, I guess, all I could say.
Or should be a condition if we do move to approve this.
Right.
Should be conditional.
Sure, I could certainly try to condition something.
Before we open it up to the public, any more questions from commission members? Okay, do we have people signed up, Dan, to speak? And I didn't make this clear, but when you do come up to speak, please come up to the podium and state your name and address for our records.
Yes, we did have one individual sign up, so I guess if you just want to come up and state your name for the record. I think I can say your name, but I butchered quite a few in the past, and yeah, I think I could have gotten that one, but
Karen Mazza, 13 Perry Avenue. I want to start by thanking you guys, as I usually do, for your time and your efforts to benefit the town of Portland. It's noticed and appreciated, so thank you. I also want to acknowledge that working with developers in the early stages of a project is a delicate balance, and it's important to be flexible to get the project off the ground. And I think Portland has already demonstrated great flexibility and cooperation in regards to this project. The town has repeatedly approved modifications and given tax incentives. At this point, the developer is fully invested. Units are built, tenants are in place, rent is being collected, and construction is ongoing. Because of this, the developer's previous threats to walk away and leave us with a pile of dirt, which was said in a previous meeting, doesn't hold weight anymore. It's time for the commission to start saying no to unnecessary and unjustifiable changes. If for some reason you do feel compelled to approve a modification, the town should at least receive something in return. Up until now, the developer has continuously received concessions without providing benefits back to the town. The request for an extra floor and 37 independent living units is completely unjustified. It's simply a revenue increasing measure for the developer. I'm hearing you guys talk about the increased taxation on our fire department. At a conservative $1,800 a month for each of those units, and I think that's probably on the low end. The estimated income is roughly $66,600 a month for the developer in adding those units, with no clear benefit to Portland. That request should be denied. Requiring, if you're gonna allow him to do that, maybe you should get something in return for those 37 units. Maybe if he's allowed to build 37 more units and another floor, Portland could get 37 units in buildings E and F, the apartment buildings designated as affordable housing units. We're currently at 6.3% affordable housing in our town, and the state mandate is 10%. So if you're going to approve it, you should at least get something for this town in return. Because as it stands, the town is not getting a benefit from those 37 units. In regards to the 2-story daycare for 174 children, that request should also be denied. The daycare also benefits the developer financially since the rental cost per square foot for such a facility is high. What does the town receive for that? Increased morning and afternoon traffic congestion. A private playground that's visible in our downtown area that none of the residents can use. I'm assuming there's going to be a playground. It's a mandate for Connecticut daycares. And also, we get a minimal, negligible amount of green space that's essentially meaningless. The proposed changes create more burden than benefit for this community. As far as traffic concerns, we can't rely on the developer's word that traffic won't increase. That's irresponsible. Of course, he's going to say traffic won't increase because this is what he wants to do. At a minimum, if you're going to approve this, you should require the developer to pay for a new independent traffic study if you're adding 174 children daycare and 37 more units. And that traffic study should be done by someone of the town's choosing, not someone that the developer chooses. I can tell you as a resident that lives next door to this development, I'm already seeing unsafe traffic patterns. I see cars frequently turn right on red out of that development to avoid the long traffic light. They then use the cut through on Route 66 to do a U-turn and travel back towards Main Street. This is increasing every time I travel up and down Route 66, and none of that's captured in the traffic studies. Adding 37 units and 174 daycare drop-offs and pickups every day is going to significantly worsen that situation. The development, in my opinion and many others, is becoming too large and deviating too far from what was originally approved. We've only got one commercial tenant so far, and yet here he is asking for more residential. Additionally, the apartment buildings don't match any of the architectural renderings as they were presented to the commission. They don't look anything like it. Multiple deadlines have been missed, and now the developer wants yet another modification that mostly serves only his bottom line and doesn't bring any benefits to the town of Portland. The pattern here is clear that the town keeps giving and Dan keeps coming back asking for more, and it gets approved. It's time for the commission to hold firm and say no and put your foot down and deny these modifications and hold him to the plan as it stands, which already includes a lot of previously approved modifications. Thank you.
Anybody here to address?
Do you want to see if, do you want to just see if there's any comments online first? Nick, do we have any comments online? Okay.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Tim Dickerson.
Okay, Tim, go ahead, please.
Hi, Tim Dickerson, 12 Bell Court, Portland. I was not at the first meeting in November, so I'm just going by what the minutes said in there. But it says that the applicant is requesting an increase in independent living from 108 to 145 units. To my knowledge, there was never any approved independent living units on this project. There was assisted living units, which I thought the 108 was assisted living units. And I just want to make sure that it's only a typo and you're not going to change the whole plan now and give back, make them all independent living now when we already all agreed to assisted living, which requires a state certified organization to run it and meet certain standards where those are not required for independent living. So, and if you know the answer to that, please let me know when I'm done. Second, for the traffic, I agree. I think it's going to be a nightmare. In this day and age, there are traffic models that you can get free, and I would recommend that they provide a traffic model demonstration showing us the traffic models and how it'll work at a public meeting for the Portland residents to observe. Because if you start putting 174 children going into that daycare at the same time as you got everybody trying to get in and out of the residential units, the apartments in there, and go to Starbucks because they're coming from East Hampton, they need a Starbucks fix, they're not going to make it through the light cycle. And God forbid you have an accident at that traffic light. Nobody's getting in, nobody's getting out, and there's only one little emergency way to get in down next to the gas station. And finally, I'm not sure how much detail there is on the daycare, but I suspect that there's a lot of requirements for the state and both inside and outside recreational areas per person. So I would like to see more information on that, or at least stipulate that it has to meet whatever the state standards are before that portion gets approved. Thank you.
So I guess just from my point of view on Tim's first part, my understanding is everything is staying the same. The same condition of approval that was in the prior motion for the last modification is still in there. And that condition is that as a condition of approval, that the applicant or future operator include the language in any independent living supplement dated 9/10/24 from PZC application number 23-17 as a requirement in any agreement for the independent living residents to reside in the facility. So that basically was stating that any resident that lived there would have to need one or more assistance with one or more daily activities of daily living. So that condition still stays. So from the land use office perspective, there's no change in the operation of that proposed use.
Do you have anyone else online who would like to speak? No.
Nope.
So in response to the comments, broadly speaking, I do think that in terms of traffic, we presented at the first meeting our analysis and would stand by that. Also the need for the additional units and the pursuit of the rooftop restaurant and other things. I should have probably given an update on commercial leasing. We do have Starbucks, Jersey Mike's, Chipotle, and since we were here, Bird Code is another quick service chicken concept. And then there's another national player in the B1 building that we're in discussions with that we can't be public about. So we are looking to build on the momentum that we're achieving now. We had a display at ICSC in New York City yesterday and today. which is a big retailer show. And there were probably 25 meetings about this project. So we've appreciated the collaboration with the town, and we feel that we're making progress finally and looking to just close it out. So certainly that's where we're coming from. As it relates to the daycare, that is regulated by the state, and we would certainly have any operator who was in that comply with all the regulations that are necessary. So with that, really, I think that we'd like to close with that as our response. Thank you.
So we'll make one last call for anyone who would like to speak from the public. If you would, please come up and speak. And okay, I'll stop. Yeah.
I can speak during the public time as well.
Yeah.
Speak.
Whatever you want.
The only other thing that I want to say is that the rooftop restaurant existed before this modification was requested, and it was fine without another floor and 37 more apartments. Thank you.
Victoria, you wanted to say something?
I think the idea of affordable housing is an interesting one for the additional units. I'd like you to address that as an option. And also, one of the things that, I'm sorry I was late, by the way. But I also wanted to talk to the commission about requesting that you hire an independent traffic analysis from someone that we choose. Because I think that listening to the public, that has been something from the very, very beginning, that there's been a lot of distrust and disbelief in. And I think that it would be good for both the commission and for you to have the traffic study confirmed by another professional. So those are the two things that, had I been seated tonight, I would have brought up to you. And I'm okay with the red maple. I wish it were larger. I'm sure you know that. But I understand. So but if you could talk about the possibility of making those additional units affordable housing. Since they're not built yet, you have the option of different kind of construction. And that would definitely be something that we would be looking for in the future from the developer coming into town, so.
I would say that I have a lot of affordable housing experience and have developed in other parts of the state, and often very creatively. We bought a hotel that we're repurposing into micro studio apartments that are a couple hundred units of all affordable. And so there are places, there's a time and a place for it, and I do believe deeply in it. This is just not one of them at this job in that building. And so we're looking for the additional units to make the economic model work for the rooftop restaurant. I would push back that it's 35 more units, I believe, right? But it's also to make the rooftop restaurant work, right? It's not that it did work before. We've been trying to make it work. And so we came back with this as an enabling mechanism. The affordability constraint would be a further headwind on that, especially with the independent living component to it. So it's just not a fit here. But like I say, I do believe strongly in it, and I've developed hundreds of units in Connecticut.
If you had not having units added or approved, or having them approved if they were affordable, where would you stand on that? I mean, I'm just gonna be blunt with you.
Yeah, no, I think that, well, and I'll be blunt back. So,
So it's gonna be our choice here.
It always is. And so, and we're here to make our best case to succeed. And we're in the final chapter of this development because this is the final phase. And we're trying to close out strong. I think that this is a premium opportunity in the context of the independent living. I think it differentiates nicely from what is out there, which is primarily a drive-in, drive-out experience, right? When you talk about senior living in general and especially with any services. And this is better integrated into the surrounding community in terms of walkability and such. So we are proceeding with some rosy assumptions about what can happen on the top line, the revenue side, with premium rents to justify the extraordinary building costs associated with the structure of this size. I would also argue if we're having a broader conversation, because I guess I'll respond to a couple other things that are said to just make the case. There's been significant benefit to the town already that was not budgeted for. There was an additional $500,000-$600,000 in taxes that got paid this year, and a like amount that'll be next year before the tax abatements kick in, partial assessments. So there's a very good bargain being struck with the town as it relates to what's being developed. And I do think that independent living, you want something that is a healthy economic model applied. And like I say, if I didn't have such a track record with affordable housing, maybe I'd feel a little differently about my response, but it's just not appropriate in this building for this job for it to maximize its chances of success to close strong. And we are trying to do that. We're trying to go into next spring, building out B1, B2, and A, and hopefully 3 years from now, this is completely stabilized and finished and just a beautiful corner in town. That's what our goal is.
Was given the choice between not
being given that choice. You're asking me that question, but I don't believe that's that we would just remove the top floor to avoid the affordability. I think that was what your question boils down to. No, we would be sitting here not acting on A, B1 or B2 and being able to move forward with the commercial leasing success we've just had. It's all needs to be mobilized at once and now to continue the progress. If the town's response is that the progress is not necessary, because even though there's unplanned for tax revenue and there is this other success, right, with commercial leasing that we have queued for B1, because that's the impetus for us to push forward with the other pieces. If that's insufficient, then we have to go back and come up with what plan might work. But we've come to you with a plan that we think we can roll into the spring with and complete the job. So from that perspective, it's allowed us, with the success we've had so far in the first couple of apartment buildings, to go deeper into the historic building restorations and such. And those are huge. I don't talk about it very often, but those are huge money losers. I mean, it's unbelievable how much money those 3 buildings are costing, and they will never cash flow. So there are many trade-offs that have been made with the town for a successful project, and we've satisfied, I think, many, many stakeholders. And there will be some that just don't like a big project in the middle of town and want something traded at every interval. But I think that the reason that we've been able to make the job come as far as it has already is because we have worked together, and we've both given on each side. And I appreciate that with the I feel like we've collaborated with the town. And so I'll try to reclose on that because it is a positive thing. We are here presenting a positive thing, but we can't just say, well, let's just undermine the economic model and get rolling. It doesn't necessarily work that way. And like I say, I do believe in affordable housing in the state of Connecticut and have a track record for it. So.
I kind of also want to point out that 8 months ago, they came to us with an application to modify their site plan that included more residential. That was resoundingly opposed by everybody in the town, I think, as far as, I'm sorry. So asking for more residential now kind of contradicts what we voted, where everyone on this board, except for me, voted against earlier this year. This is an increase in what we considered commercial space. So I guess it seems almost hypocritical now to be asking for more residential. Or are you asking to modify what we've already approved, that the pre-existing limited, was it 240 units of residential, to change some of that to affordable?
I was just asking about the added floor.
Right.
The added floor.
But if we change that to affordable housing, then that would be adding residential, which
It's already-
everyone came to
it's
us and
already
said no.
residential, though, in the plan. It's
Well, it
already
was
residential.
considered a healthcare institution, right, Dan?
Yeah, they're adding a floor to the healthcare institution,
So
so
that's
that's considered
adding
commercial.
commercial, not residential. That's what we voted on. We voted down residential. We approved the increase in commercial with this current plan. This just adds to the commercial space. So, I mean, I'm all for affordable housing. It's just, we gotta get, we gotta be consistent, at least with the way, what we're asking for. The only other thing that I would like, at least not necessarily a traffic study, but maybe some coordination with the local police department, maybe to address the concern that was, people taking the right turn and then immediately doing that U-turn. Because that could eventually lead to some type of accident or something, someone trying to beat lights. But I know it's not necessarily your problem, but if, that turns into a consistent pattern, maybe it's just a matter of putting up a sign saying no right turn on red. I'm not sure if that's something you have.
We'd be happy to do any part of anything that we can along those lines. Sometimes it does come down to enforcement, where you just say, hey, listen, somebody's making an illegal U-turn, and then it's just, put a cop out there and Perry. But I certainly, we can do our part. Now, Joe, as I don't want to take away, sometimes the expert's the guy from out of town and Joe's the guy from in town. But when Joe comes down to Danbury and when he's teaching classes, he's the expert. He's a very highly regarded guy. I can say that as, just as a Portland resident, but he's statewide known to be one of the top traffic people, period. So I don't think in terms of backing him up. I certainly would say that if there's something that you'd like us to do to prove out what Joe's input is, I'd just ask that it be a condition of approval, because we are trying to release work to get these jobs, the foundations designs finished so that they can start in the spring on these big buildings. But we're certainly happy to validate what we've testified to as a condition of approval, if that helps.
For me, I'm not interested in seeing another traffic study. I trust this work. I have no reason to doubt it. I don't think anybody should be, we should be asking you to spend more money on getting a new one. If anything, if anybody doubts it on the board, then we should be putting the bill for getting our own traffic consultant and hiring them to verify the work. But I don't think that's necessary. It's just more that, that safety issue that was raised.
Oh, sure.
And if that's something you can coordinate with the local PD at all, please.
Sure.
At least monitor it, see if it is a consistent issue.
No, I think we do take that approach in terms of monitoring for sure. Like when we have a lot of tech that goes into these buildings, a lot of perimeter surveillance. And so if there was an area of the site, we'd be happy to put a camera on that corner of the E building, say that would be able to see that intersection. And then we'd have footage of it if we wanted to, see who the bad actors were. I mean, there's always ways to collaborate, and we're happy to do so. So,
Thank you.
Sure.
So generally on a project like this, and we've already taken money in at one point, you could have asked for a traffic study prior. My only concern about asking for a traffic study now is our 35-day clock is up. So the applicant would have to give us an extension to keep the public hearing open to hearing the traffic study. And I don't believe I could bring the traffic study back to a closed public hearing. So that unfortunately would be one wrinkle in that, although and I'll leave it at that.
I think it might be beneficial if I just try and summarize what I recall from the traffic report from last meeting. And that was, there was an acknowledgement that there would be an increase in current traffic levels, but it is still below, projected to be still below the traffic level that was approved previously for this project. Did I get that right? I believe that's what was.
And I don't need to hog the mic. Joe can certainly address anything, but if that's correct, yes, okay.
Further questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none then, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing for application 25-05.
So moved.
Okay, Chantel made a motion. May I have a second?
Second then.
Okay, Rob seconded that. All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, say no. Okay, the public hearing for application 25-05 is now closed. Any further discussion amongst commission members?
Dan, what would the condition be for the fire department?
I guess I would condition it to just so I'm not sure, to be frank, because I don't know how I couldn't say if he had a negative comment. I don't know what
Right.
the outcome would be.
Mhm.
I did talk to Chief Guida about this, I believe, and I did not get any negative response.
All right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
what-
I just,
yeah, I don't know.
my main concern is he's been aware of it and he's reviewed it.
Yes,
I know we approved the previous,
right. But yeah, I do.
but I also have the concern that it's gonna have an impact on the fire department. And the tax, and ultimately the taxpayer, so
Yeah, so
I don't believe the fire department has the equipment to handle these three buildings the way they normally would.
and my understanding is that. Go ahead. Oh.
But I can talk?
We closed the public hearing, so I don't believe she can.
No, yeah, just seated members.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so my understanding is that Portland relies on mutual aid for neighboring towns.
Yes,
So I guess as part of a condition, we might want to require some sort of a written emergency response plan from the fire department. And if there were an incident at this building, at this new 5-story building.
so there is mutual aid. Middletown does assist Portland.
Right.
I don't know if that's a condition that I can necessarily make come to fruition, for sure or not. You're asking me to come up with a plan with an agency I don't have any control over, or this board doesn't have any control over. So the city of Middletown, it does provide mutual aid. I don't know if they didn't want to sign on to a plan like that, I don't have any. But yes, I do know that while they do provide mutual aid, Pete Wilsey had kind of brought that up at a past meeting. They are here to provide mutual aid, but they're not here to put out our fires necessarily. If that makes sense. So they would certainly respond, but I don't think I don't know if I could get something in writing like that. I mean, I could share with you any current understanding, or if we have any agreement that has been signed, or or something like that, I could certainly do that. I could certainly check to ensure that there is a mutual aid agreement. That could be certainly a condition. I just don't know if in my position, I could get towns to come together and craft a response plan to Portland.
I guess I'd be looking more for a response from the fire chief
Okay,
in town.
Yep.
As to what the actions would be if there were an incident at this building.
I think that's something that I could do. That I could do.
This October 29th. But why isn't the work class in the memo?
So Chantel asked why the fifth floor wasn't addressed in the memo. Again, I can't speak to that. I provided the fire marshals with the plans, same plans and sets that you have.
Yeah.
They did not,
I do recall that.
Tom.
yeah, they did not comment on that, so. I don't want to speak for them. All I can say is I gave them the same plans that you guys have showing the additional floor with the memo from Steve Sullivan speaking to that modification. And as far my understanding is Ray provided a memo, Ray, the fire marshal, with his concerns, and that was not one of them.
Well, but it's like, it's just not mentioned, you know, there were no, he's not even, he's talking about all these other things and just kind of acknowledging them, but he's not even mentioning it.
So
I just think it's weird.
again,
Okay.
yeah, I don't want to just, I can't speak for him and I don't want to speak for him. The fire marshals are the professionals here. They're the experts. They're who I rely on. You know, I distributed this application like everyone else.
Okay.
And so I don't want to draw conclusions for Ray, but you know, I would say his memo was the input that he provided for this application.
So if we were to proceed with a motion for approval with a condition that we receive a satisfactory response from the fire marshal as to the fire department's actions to a potential incident at this building, would that be?
Yeah, the fire chief. So I would
Fire chief.
request the fire chief to provide a written response plan if a fire were to occur at E, F, or A. If you'd like, I would just include A since I think that's the concern, but
That's the concern.
you know, I guess if he's gonna do an analysis on A, he might as well opine on E and F as well. But that wouldn't come to you guys necessarily. That would be something that I would request from him on a staff level. He would provide it and then I would add it to the file. I wouldn't bring it back to you guys. Because like you couldn't approve this now. Get that later. And then say, oh, we don't, you know what I mean? And then vote it down. If they didn't, if Rob couldn't provide that and it didn't meet the condition, then obviously, you know, the plan couldn't go forward. Right. But it would not come back to you for your review.
So how would that get resolved?
I would request him to do that analysis to provide that plan. If he provided the plan, then the application can move forward. If he couldn't provide that, then it wouldn't.
Who would make the decision whether that plan is adequate or not?
The fire chief. I'm not gonna second guess the fire chief.
No, and that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. So if the fire chief provided, you know, a response plan, that would then satisfy that condition.
Just have to point out though, that if you submitted this to the fire chief for his review. And if he had any concerns, he had a fair opportunity to address those and provide his concerns in writing as part of this process. The lack of any, you know, written comments on it, kind of would suggest to me that he has no issues. Presuming, of course, he did actually take a look at these like he was supposed to.
I do believe he did. He has looked at and reviewed the plans in the past. I just looked into the file. I have a transmittal sheet when I route applications, and I did route this application to the fire marshal and the fire chief. Again, I don't want to speak for him. All I can say is, we received a memo from the fire marshal outlining his concerns and conditions of approval. I have a condition of approval for fire marshal, any outstanding conditions to be met, as well as the standard conditions for them to review any final building plans. So part of this is, and this may be why they didn't opine on this other floor, they wait until the building plan comes in so they can actually look at the finalized plans of the floor plan.
Can I just interject? I can, he does reference it here.
Okay.
It is here.
Okay.
So it is, here.
Okay.
It does say it. I mean, it's not a big deal. Doesn't make a big deal about it, but he does.
Okay,
mention-
so yeah, again,
I'm feeling much better now.
okay, I apologize that I couldn't.
No, I
provide that to
apologize
but-
because it is here.
Okay,
It's just not
it
a big
wasn't,
deal.
yes, okay. And I think that's part of it. They review all these buildings again, and
No, that's good.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
they may be on site more than the building official, to be frank. They're there, it's almost every day, on site, looking at something, making sure it's safe. So they are very dedicated, to making sure this is a safe project. Did you still want the fire chief condition?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
I feel we should. Yes.
I feel we should have something in the file that he has reviewed the plan.
I do have something in the file that already.
That he states he does.
Okay, I don't have anything that he states, but I do have something in the file that he did receive the plan.
Right, but I think we should have something documented that
Okay,
whether he has any issues, I assume not. Because he hasn't responded, but I think he should formally respond. And have it on the record.
The non-response is what's making me uncomfortable right now. So
do you want a response or do you want a plan? Do you just want a response that I was routed? I guess I'm not sure what you
I
want.
would like a reaction from him, positive or negative.
Just that he's had eyes on this.
He's had eyes on it and he's comfortable.
Okay, so basically, I'm gonna say as a condition of approval to verify that the fire chief has reviewed the plan. I can't, so that is that what you're that the fire chief? I mean, I put it in his box. I don't know.
I think a formal response on the record in writing would be sufficient.
So as a condition of approval, a formal response from the fire chief
Correct.
to the application.
Okay, any other questions or comments from commission members?
I do have a comment about the back and forth that has gone on between what's his name? Our engineer, Jeff, excuse me, and the applicant. We just didn't see any of that back and forth, and it really, for me anyway, it is helpful to see all of that stuff.
Some of the emails.
Even if I don't understand it, I like to see it because I like to see what's being asked.
You would have understood these. Mainly, the only things they really emailed about were the parking calculation. The increase in the green space and how that was working. Not too much. This was a
Okay.
fairly
All right,
straightforward review, for the engineer. Normally he would have done a memo if there were more
All right. well,
things.
Good to know.
Okay, then Dan, do we have a motion?
Yeah, just let me copy down
Yep.
that,
Yep, take
that
your time.
condition, Dawn.
Yep. How much of this am I reading, Dan?
Not all the plans. So, just to there, and then I would pick up on the end.
Okay, motion to approve application 25-05, 69 Marlborough Street, request for special permit modification, application and property of BRT DeMarco PTP LLC, map 19 lot 68, zone B-2, B-3, and TCVD. All based on architectural renderings and information submitted, testimony provided, and subject to the following instructions and conditions that are integral to this approval. Number one, that this approval will expire in 5 years. Number two, that the certified letter of approval be placed on the plan. Number three, that 3 paper copies and a Mylar of the plan be submitted to the planning department for endorsement by an officer of the commission. The Mylar shall be filed on the land records within 180 days as per ZR section 10.5.3.2.a. Number four, that a zoning permit application be submitted in accordance with zoning regulation section 11.1.1.a to ensure compliance with this approval. Number five, that the applicant meets all comments from the fire marshal memo dated 10/29/25, and that final plans are subject to their review. 6, that as a condition of approval that the applicant or future operator include the language in the independent living supplement dated 9/10/24 from Planning and Zoning Commission application 23-17 as a requirement in any agreement for the independent living residents to reside at the facility. And number 7, as condition of approval, request a formal response to application from the fire chief. Reasons: the proposal conforms to zoning regulations 9.17 of the zoning regulations. May I have a second to the motion, please?
Seconded.
Okay, we'll now vote, and we will begin with Tom,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Chantel, Rob.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. There will be none opposed, so the application is approved. Okay. Only item now is may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, the meeting is adjourned.